Hello and welcome to our edition of Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Clarisse Fortuné and these are the headlines. Worshippers across the continent are paying their respects to Pope Francis, who died on Monday. From South Sudan to the DRC and Kenya, more than 280 million people are mourning the pontiff, who will be buried this Saturday. Ghana's Chief Justice has been suspended, a first since the country returned to democratic rule in 1992. An investigation has been launched and 3 undisclosed petitions have been filed, calling for the permanent removal of Gertrude Torkunu. At the FEMUA Music Festival in Abidjan, organizers spotlighted the traditional roots of the Achan community, native to Anoumabo, the village where FEMUA first began. Across Africa, millions are mourning the death of Pope Francis. From cathedrals in Kinshasa to prayer vigils in Nairobi and Juba, worshippers are gathering to honor the pontiff, remembered for his outreach to the continent and his calls for peace. The Pope passed away on Monday and will be laid to rest this Saturday. With over 200 million Catholics in Africa, the loss is being felt deeply across communities and churches. Laurent Berstecher has the story.
Tolling the church bells to honor the memory of Pope Francis. Worshippers gathered in South Sudan's capital, Juba, to pay tribute to the pontiff, who actively worked towards reconciliation in the war-torn country.
We lost our great hero who actually worked for peace for this country. We remember when our leaders went to Rome, when he went and kissed their feet.
From Rabat to Cape Town, the entire African continent mourned the passing of Pope Francis on Tuesday. In Nairobi's Holy Family Basilica, a mass was held to remember his legacy of tolerance and peace.
Pope Francis has left us, but we are hopeful people. We have the faith that all that he worked was not in vain.
Ceremonies were also held in the DRC's capital, Kinshasa, where the Archbishop paid tribute to the Pope's achievements, and in the embattled city of Goma, which Francis tried to visit in 2023.
He really supported us and even took the initiative of coming to see us when the war started. He wanted to come here in Goma, even though the situation didn't allow it. He was a good man and he believed in peace.
Celebrating the legacy of a man whose tireless work for peace and equality resonated beyond religion, and whose passing leaves an entire continent in mourning.
In Ghana, President Mahama has suspended the Supreme Court's Chief Justice with immediate effect and launched an investigation into 3 undisclosed petitions against her. Gertrude Torkunu is yet to comment. This marks the first suspension of a Chief Justice since Ghana's return to democratic rule in 1992. Our correspondent Justice Baidu has the latest on the story.
The news about Justice Torkonu's suspension had been speculated for weeks. A probe has been launched into several allegations that have been leveled against her, including one that says that her daughter was allegedly paid $10,000 of state money to embark on a private trip. Justice Torkonu was the target of 3 separate petitions that had been submitted to President John Mahama and had been looked over by the country's Council of State. Critics say President John Mahama is only taking advantage of these petitions to oust the Chief Justice, who was appointed by former President Nana Akufo-Addo and had been in office since June of 2023. The president and his National Democratic Congress party had long accused President Akufo-Addo of packing the country's top court with his favorite judges and had promised to clean up the system before they won last December's election by a landslide. Mr. Mahama has now put together a 5-member committee that would work over the next few days to determine whether the Chief Justice should be sacked.
And staying in Ghana, the launch of ECOWAS's 50th anniversary celebrations in Accra, President Mahama said he initiated efforts to bring Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger back into the West African bloc. A special envoy has been appointed to start high-level talks. Though ECOWAS invited the junta leaders to the event, they did not attend. Officials confirmed representatives from the three countries were present, but gave no further details. Let's listen to President John Mahama.
The recent decision by Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to withdraw from ECOWAS is a regrettable development. Yet, even in this, continuous engagement must remain our lodestar. We must respond not with isolation or recrimination, but with understanding, dialogue, and a willingness to listen and to engage.
An Ivorian court has barred opposition leader Tidjane Thiam from running in October's presidential election, striking him off the electoral list. The court ruled Thiam lost his Ivorian nationality when he became a French citizen in 1987. Thiam, who leads the main opposition party, PDCI, had renounced his French citizenship in March to qualify, but the court said it was too late. His lawyers called the decision political and say it cannot be appealed. Three other major figures, including ex-president Laurent Gbagbo, are also barred from the race. Burkina Faso's military junta claimed to have foiled a major plot aimed, they say, to create total chaos and blaming masterminds in neighboring Ivory Coast. Security Minister Mahamadou Sana said the plan included an assault on the presidency by soldiers recruited by Burkina Faso's enemies. A dozen troops were arrested and 2 former officers were named as key suspects.
The meticulous work of the intelligence services revealed a major plot being prepared against our country, the ultimate aim of which was to sow total chaos with a view to placing the country under the tutelage of an international organization capable of regaining control in 10 or 20 years' time, depending on the instigators.
A lack of cash has forced the UN to halt life-saving aid to 650,000 women and children from as early as next month. In a stark warning, the head of the UN's Food Aid Agency in Ethiopia said millions in the country are one shock away from falling into a catastrophe.
Over 10 million people in Ethiopia are acutely food insecure. This includes 3 million people displaced by conflict and extreme weather. Malnutrition rates are alarmingly high. Now we are at the breaking point. We've been left no choice but suspend completely the treatment for 650,000 malnourished women and children simply because we've run out of commodities and funding. We are now operating with just about 50% of last year's funding. This means that 3.6 million vulnerable people could lose access to WFP assistance in the coming weeks unless funding arrives urgently.
Now to something a bit more pleasant. The 17th edition of the Festival de Musique Urbaine d'Anoumabo came to a close on Sunday. For the 2025 edition, FEMUA focused on raising awareness about road safety and civic responsibility. It also featured a showcase of traditional roots for the second time, honoring the Achan community, the ethnic group native to Anoumabo. Report by Fatima Tawain, Clémence Valère and Aurélie Kouman.
The crowd cheers for their Ivorian idols. They're here for the 27-year-old Ivorian rap phenomenon. Or
José the Diva. She's the best female artist of Ivory Coast.
But also Franco-Ivorian rapper returning to the festival for the second time. A dozen A-list artists from the continent took to the big stage in Anoumabo, offering Abidjan 2 nights of unforgettable free concerts. Among them, Guinean reggae icon Takana Zion, and even 5-time Grammy Award-winning Queen Angelique Kidjo. And FEMUA is not just about modern music. For the second year running, the festival returned to its roots with traditional FEMUA, an event honoring the local community and the village that gave birth to the celebration.
So that's a wrap for this FEMUA Music Festival edition, also for our Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching, and more news coming up on France 24.